Logan Hamilton, Matt Bittner, Tristan Leach, Trent Clausen. Too many lives lost to a disease so often misunderstood. Good evening, my name is Jim Knable. I want to thank you all for coming tonight and supporting this cause. Tonight we are here to bring attention to an awful disease and offer anyone suffering from depression or anxiety disorders an outlet to open up to relieve the crushing weight of this affliction. I've heard many people say they don't understand how someone can commit suicide. For me, it's easy because I have suffered depression. Imagine your worst day. Your mother's died, your father's died, your son has died, you've lost your best friend. You wake up tomorrow and it starts all over again. Then the next day, and the next day, and it goes on for weeks and months. Tonight we are trying to break that spell and bring someone, if we just bring one person out of our shell, that would be a great accomplishment for this evening. We have several speakers lined up tonight to try to explain mental illness and a message of hope and the effects it can have on victims and family members. Opening up tonight, we have Andy Thompson from St. Rita's Medical Center, Behavioral Services. And after talking to Andy a little bit, I think you'll find that he is probably the most positive guy in this business, because this is a message of hope and opening up. Andy, you want to come on up?
Say it is absolutely a privilege to be asked to do this, to help support this community. And when I was asked to do this, I was thinking there might be 30 people here. So I'm really just overcome with how many people's turned out to support this tonight. And like I said, I work up at St. Rita's, and I've worked in behavioral health for 31 years, and it is absolutely my passion. I've worked in all aspects of it. I've worked Mercy Hall, if anybody's in the community or is familiar with that, when we had our Mercy Hall. My message really is of hope, and I still do a lot of clinical work at St. Rita's. I talk with patients every day, around on every patient, on our unit, in our outpatient department. And my message is recovery doesn't have to be hard. I think sometimes we make it hard, but I like to think about it as what I have going on in my life, and I'm full of stress, and I can't go on anymore. I need to stop that. I need to stop where I'm at. I need to step back. And on these tables, there's agency after agency of help in our community to help head in another direction. So we need to stop what we're doing, and we need to step back, take a look at what's going on in our lives, and if whatever's going on in our lives, if it's depression, if it's addiction, if it's alcoholism, opiate addiction, the epidemic, whatever's going on, to stop, step back, and to start grabbing the resources that are available to us to start heading in another direction. And my message every day when I talk with people at work that have come in and they've been admitted into the hospital because they can't manage their lives anymore and they don't want to live anymore, that message is, every day somebody stops the pattern they're on and they start heading in another direction. So why can't that be you today? because over 31 years, I've watched that pattern day after day after day of people stopping what they're doing and heading in another direction. And there's so much help out there to do that. And that's my message. It's of strength, it's of hope, it's reaching out to say that this doesn't have to continue on. I know in dealing with teenagers and adolescents, I just want to share this because I'm really passionate about it. Social media has its strengths, but it has a lot of downfalls too. And I want to, maybe empower is the right word, that if you know something is going on with a friend or with yourself, I want to empower you to, that's a lot of burden to carry. That's a lot of stress to carry. Tell somebody. Don't keep that to yourself. It is okay to take that and share it with somebody else that might be able to step in and help with that situation. To me, and I'm just being honest, and anybody that knows me, that works with me, I'm as honest as they come, and I have to put it right out on the table. Because I don't think you can get help if you're not honest. Because that's the foundation of starting to change, just being honest. So if you're willing to share that with somebody, then there's people, there's lots of resources to be able to step in and help moving in a more positive direction. And there's no fairy dust, there's no magic wand, but I can honestly say that if we stop where we're at and we start heading in another direction and we start in a more positive direction, life will get better. It will improve. How well it gets, how far we go, we don't know, but it will get better because we're stopping what we're doing. And that's just my message. And I every day at work I do it, and I see the outcome. I see the outcome every day of when people are being discharged. For the most part, many of them will say, I really feel my life will be different from this point in, because they became a part of their treatment and wanted to move on. So that's really what I have to say. I just encourage you. I think with the outpouring here and this show of support for this community, it can only move on from this point on. It can only be more positive and move on. And I just can't thank you enough for coming out and supporting this. Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. Appreciate you coming over and saying a few words for us tonight. If I could get this up and going. We have, well, let's see, about 10 months ago, Zach decided to do something about his depression issues. He posted his experience with his crippling illness, wanted to share his feelings and open up so that others could experience the same problems and would speak up and ask for help. Tonight is a culmination of that first step to help himself, to help others. He's decided to create an organization to help those willing to ask and to encourage others to seek help. You aren't alone. Here to tell his story and encourage others to do the same, I'm proud to say my grandson, Zach Rickard.
Let me take this off real quick. I want to thank you guys all for coming. When I first put this together, end of May, I expected 100 people to show up. That was my goal, to bring 100 people together, to listen to what I had to say, to listen to my story, and realize that there is help out there and that you can get the help. You can get through it. I've laid in a hospital bed. I'm going to start out with this. I wasn't planning on it. It's something maybe 5 people know, that including my own family. Back in end of February, early March, I'm not positive, right in that area, typical father's always in the way. So back in February, March, I was sitting in a hospital bed. I had alcohol that night. My switch just flipped. I don't know why. I still to this day don't know why. My girlfriend doesn't know why. We continued to ask why it happened. And I don't have an explanation for it, but I snapped. With a combination of the alcohol, with my medication, was probably part of it. And I took every single pill I had of my antidepressant. When the EMS was called, I didn't want to go. I felt like in that moment, I knew what I did. It was that 30 seconds, I grabbed the pill bottle, sat on the floor, and took every last pill. And I really can't explain why I did it. It was a moment I felt. It was like I've talked to my counselor. From that moment to that day, I had everything going. I was taking care of myself. And then for 45 minutes of one night, my depression, my anxiety kicked in. And I don't even know if I was trying to take my own life. I don't know what I was doing, because in that 30 seconds I blacked out. You don't know what you're doing. You don't think about it. I picked up a pill bottle, and the next 30 seconds it was laying on the ground empty. And I don't remember taking a single one. Now I'll back up from the beginning. I'm a 2013 graduate of Delphus Jefferson. I currently am enrolled at BGSU, where I currently have a year and a half left, studying to be an intervention specialist, where I plan to move forward with that and get my master's in something else is yet to be decided and what. But throughout high school, I hit everything. I go back to my sophomore year. Every day I was mostly hiding in my room. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't know what to do with myself, but the moment I walked out of that room, it was like I was the happiest kid alive. And you talk to my mom and dad, they'll tell you that if they sit here and look back then, they see it, but at the time, they didn't see it. They thought, as I was a shy kid, I didn't say much growing up, so they just thought that was my way of my character and what I was, which I am a quiet person. I don't say much. Doing this took everything I had, because I can stand up in front of 15 other kids in a college class and give a speech, and I'll feel like I'm going to puke. Through high school, my sophomore year mainly, there were nights I'd sit down in my bedroom, take Advil. I'd take 30 to 40 Advil. And a lot of people asked me why. I told them it's my way of cutting. That was the only way I knew how to describe it. I could hide the Advil and Tylenol inside of me. You couldn't see that I was hurting myself. I could hide it a lot easier. Now I put cuts on my arm, I cut myself. I got to cover those up. So I did everything I had not to show it. I didn't want to let down my mom and dad. I didn't want to let down my principal. I didn't want to let down my teachers. I didn't want to let down anybody. That was my biggest fear, was letting down my mom and dad, because I knew how much they'd done for me, where they put me. They put me in a position to succeed as a kid, and I thank them enough for that. But I didn't want to let them down, and that was the biggest thing. And throughout high school, I showed up to school, I did what I had to do to get A's and B's, but I was a student that probably should have got all A's. But I didn't care. I had more going on in my mind than to worry about schoolwork. Then you go through high school, I graduate. I decide to go to Xavier University, where I was going to study accounting. A school I dreamed about going to as young as I can remember. For some reason, it was just something in my heart that wanted to go there. And I talked with my mom about it, and I didn't even apply until one of the last schools I applied to, because I felt I wouldn't get in. I felt like it wasn't somewhere I could go. And then I go to Xavier. I'm there for about 3 weeks. And the first couple weeks I got through, it was kind of like the new experience, the excitement got me through that point. But then it all hit me. I laid in bed, got out of bed, went to class, came back, laid in bed. I didn't do anything besides lay in bed, and I didn't gain any weight, so that tells you I barely ate. I only ate when I had to. I only ate when it felt necessary. And that's when I came home. I came home one weekend, and I looked at my mom and dad. It's Sunday evening, Sunday afternoon. It's time to go back to school. They're telling me, trying to get me to go, and I look at them and refuse. I say, I'm not going back. I can't go back there. So my dad comes in my room as I'm sitting on the floor, and I look at him, and I say, he asked me why. I finally break down and say that I don't want to live anymore. I just want to take my life. As I was laying on my bed at Xavier, that's all I thought about. I planned all day long about how I was going to take my life, how I would suffer the less, and the easiest way out, the quickest way out, the best way out. At times I even thought about, what would I write on a suicide note? What would I leave to make sure I didn't let them down? But you take your life, you're gonna break not only your family, but your friends, so many more. But I understand where it gets to that point. It's a difficult point to be. When somebody says, how could somebody take their own life? How could somebody do that? But when you live in a world on a daily basis where the only thing you're doing is thinking about taking your life and thinking about what went wrong in your life, why are you like this? What happened to you? Why do you deserve this? And yet you didn't do a single thing to deserve it. You were just put in a situation, a very difficult situation, but it's a situation you can get through. That's what I'm trying to share, is that you can get through that situation. You can take that next step. The hardest step I ever took is looking my own dad in the eyes with tears in my eyes and telling him that all I wanted to be was dead. That's all I wanted. That was my only wish at the time. If I could have done anything, it would be dead. And the only thing that kept me around was my family. If it weren't for my family, I wouldn't be standing here talking to you guys today. And I told him the next thing they did, lined up an appointment with my family physician. I went there. That same afternoon, I went to my counselor that I go to still today. And we sat and talked. And that's when we decided it was time for me to stay home and figure out myself, because we all knew I was in a place where there was no getting out unless I took the steps. If I go back to school, I'm probably not here. If I would have went back that weekend, I'm probably not here, because I would have broke down. I wouldn't have been able to hold on any longer. It's difficult. When you grow up in a world that just puts this plastic top over top of everyone that has a mental health issue, you can't talk about it. It's shamed upon. That's all it ever seemed to be, and that's why it didn't come out. It wasn't normal. It felt like I'd be judged. I felt like I'd be a burden. I felt like I'd be just a weight on people's shoulders. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do, is show that it's okay to get help. There's help out there. As Andy mentioned, there's several places in the communities to get help. But that's not the hard part. The hard part is telling a loved one that you want to take your life, or that you think you need help. That's the toughest step. Once you get past that step, it's all downhill from there, because you have professionals on your side, you have family on your side, you have everybody on your side. It's the complete opposite of what you think before you tell them. You think they'll be disappointed. You think it'll be worse. You think they'll judge you. But that's not how it is. They'll help you. And that's what you need to learn from it, is that they will help you. And then I got help, and for about 2 or 3 months, it was all about eliminating as much stress off of me as we could. It was being able to give me those steps to get where I need to be. And I got where I needed to be. It wasn't perfect, but it was controllable. I could live my life. And that's when I ended up at BG in the spring semester. And then, as I mentioned, what I started out with, that happened just a few months ago, 5 months ago. And that just tells you, when you deal with it, sometimes it goes away, and sometimes you live with it the rest of your life. And that's how mine is. It's a chemical imbalance, and it's always going to be there. It's something I have to deal with for the rest of my life, and it's something I'm prepared for. It's something that will never take me down again. It will make me stronger. And that's what I've done with it. I've turned a weakness into a strength. And that's what you have to learn to do in life. When you get thrown down, you got to pick yourself up and make it a strength. Don't tear yourself back down, because you don't deserve to be tore back down. None of us deserve to be laying on the floor with the last breath. We all deserve to get up in the morning and go enjoy our job. We deserve to enjoy time with our family. We deserve all of that. There's certain things we don't deserve. You don't deserve $1 million. You don't deserve fancy cars. But you do deserve a happy life. And while I was at BG, my life took another couple hits. Nothing I could control, nothing I could stop, but I blamed it on myself. That's a big thing with myself, is I blame everything on myself, no matter how much it's out of my control. in October of 2014, I believe it was. I might have the year wrong. Don't get mad, Mom. My mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. And that's where I stayed good for a while when I first went. I even stopped going to the counselor for a little bit. I went here and there. And then that hit. And I fell back down because I blame myself. I thought I could cure it. I thought I could change it. I thought it was my fault she had it. And I had nothing to do with it. But yet, I felt like I had control, and I could control the situation and change it. But we all know that's not how cancer works. You have that, and then I sat in a hospital bed again, where I tried to do the right thing when I was somewhere and stop the fight. When I turned my head to walk away and thought things were settled, I was punched in the face. Where I then had a broken jaw, I sat in a hospital bed for 5 days, and I felt like I hit rock bottom again. I felt like everything was out to get me. Every time I conquered something, there was another bump. And you question why you have to deal with some things, but that's life. And I had my mouth wired shut for 6 weeks. Ate out of a syringe, lost 20 pounds just sitting on my butt because I couldn't eat food. All I had to do is use his liquids. So then, that'd be tough on anybody. Then you throw depression and anxiety in there, and you feel awful, you feel terrible because not only did I have to sit through that, I had to take another semester off of school where I'm already behind. And I'm frustrated because I'm not going to graduate when my peers graduate. I'm not going to get done when I should have gotten done. And life doesn't work that way. Life doesn't happen when you want it to happen. And at one time, I lost faith. I lost faith in everything. When the jaw surgery happened, when the cancer happened, I lost faith. I don't understand why these things kept happening to me. While I'm already living with suicidal thoughts and want to take my own life, and then you're going to throw that on top of me in it, and you just question everything. But all those experiences have made me a stronger person and have brought me where I am today. Now, that's where we get into Chi Double A. Chi Double A started, in my mind, it started 2 years ago. 2 years ago when I started thinking that I needed the help. I thought about, I need to tell my own story. I need to do this because if I don't tell my own story to show people that there is help out there, then I feel like I'm letting so many people down that are going through exactly what I'm going through. And if I just lend a hand, I could save one person's life. So that's when those thoughts were going through my head. I wrote stuff down here and there. And then October hit. Our community was hit. And that's when it all began. And that's the moment I didn't even think a second. That moment, I sat down and wrote up my story. I wrote it in tears. I laid down in bed, typed it up on my phone, and cried the whole time because I was reliving the experience. But I knew it was something I had to do. When you hear of a suicide, for me, it's like I'm living it. It's like I'm a part of that. It doesn't matter if it's somebody across the whole United States. I feel like I'm a part of it. I feel like that's family. Because I know what they went through. I know what it's like to be in that situation. So that's where I decided to share my story. And then we got hit again. And that's when I sat down. I was working on it all throughout the winter, kind of typing things up here and there when I had time between classes and work. And then I finally decided I couldn't wait any longer. We lost loved ones again, and it was something I planned to gradually work into and build up. But I didn't have time for that. We didn't have time for that. This community didn't have time for that. No one in this area had time for that. And that's when I jumped in. That's when I started. I started the organization. 2 weeks later, I thought of this event. Now 2 months later, we stand here today. And in that 2 months, our community was hit again. And at first it kind of hurt because I wasn't getting a lot of response. I was wondering why we were just hit by 1, 2, 3. We were hit. And I felt the whole community should have been jumping on board right away. And we always say we're going to do something. And that's just how it is with something like this. You say you're going to do it, and then a week go by, and life happens. You do something else, and it passes. It's not that you forget about it or anything like that, but it just passes and it gets away from you. And then we get hit 2 more times, and we sit here with, I don't even know how many people are here. We sit here with this many people, a whole community, and I'm glad you guys are here because it shows me, it shows the professionals here, it shows us that you're finally taking a stand, you're finally taking that step that so many people can't take because it's such a difficult topic. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of Kevin Briel. He's someone that, he's actually from Canada. He's a comedian and he's a activist for mental health. He has a TED Talk, and in that TED Talk, he talks about one of the things I'll quote him on is when somebody breaks their arm and they have a cast, everyone runs to sign it. But when somebody says they have depression, anxiety, everybody runs the other way. See, that's the stigma we have. People want to sign your cast, but they don't want to help you when you want to take your own life. They don't know what to do. They get scared themselves. And I think part of that problem is because it is a serious matter. You watch television, you watch movies, and all they talk about is putting these crazy people in loony bins and all this, but that's not what this is. I mean, unless you guys think I deserve to be in a loony bin, I mean. So, my message is, you can get through it. You can live to see another day. It may not be easy. It may take a month. It may take 2 days. It may take 3 years. But as long as you're taking a little step every day, you're making progress. It's not an easy situation to be in. It's difficult to ask for help. It's difficult to tell your mom or dad, your brother or sister, your grandparent, your son. It's a difficult thing to be like and say that you just want to be dead. It's not an easy thing to live through and deal with. So I'm going to kind of wrap things up. I'm going to wrap it up with kind of what I hope to do with Charlotte Way, so people get more of an understanding of what that is. As it stands for Seek Help, You Aren't Alone. I hope to be able to reach many people and show them that there is a way out. There's a way. There's so many people that will help you. There's friends, family members, teachers. They will help you. It's difficult to say, and it's difficult to live in that moment and do it, but not one person will walk the other way and say, no, I won't help you. May they say, I'm not sure what to do, or act like they don't care, but 99% of the time they're going to care. They're going to do what they can to help you. And I think that's the biggest problem. A lot of people don't feel comfortable telling somebody like that. I would have never felt comfortable going up to anybody in school when I was there and telling anybody about it. I wouldn't have felt comfortable. I barely felt comfortable telling my own parents because it was so difficult. Did I know they were there for me? Yes. Did I know they would do anything for me? Yes. But it still was difficult. It still wasn't easy. And I grew up in a family that has always been there for me, a tight-knit family. Yeah, we have arguments just like every other family does, but then you take a family, you take a kid and throw a parent dying, divorce, while they're already dealing with anxiety and depression. That just bumps it up that much higher. So what I want to do is be able to get into communities such as this, get into schools, get into churches, and share my story, and show people there is help. Excuse me. To show there's help out there, and I want to be able to be a person that can point them in that direction. I want to be a person that can listen, a person that's going to be there and be like, yes, I'll listen, and I'll point you in the right direction. It might not be the perfect direction. It might not be the number one place to go right away. That's for you, but it'll be a step, and they'll help you go to they'll direct you to the right way. There is one thing I forgot to mention. As I do take medication, medication is awful. It's not awful taking it, it helps me a ton. But you can't just pop a medication in and it works. That's not how it works. I changed my medication 6 to 7 times. I changed my medication 6 to 7 times, and I'm currently in a situation where I'm having troubles with finding the right words to say. Sometimes I can't remember this and that, and it's probably part of the medication where I'm at a point I'm probably going to be changing my medication again. It's a long process, but a process you can do. And that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do, is show people that you can get past that point. You can get there. And I'm going to leave on a note of a quote I hear a lot, and a quote I live by a lot, that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to have something going on in your life. It's okay to admit there's something wrong. It's okay to not be perfect. No one's perfect. It's okay to be struggling. It's okay to ask for that help. So just remember, it is okay to not be okay. Thank you.
did. We have one more speaker tonight, and I'm going to bring up someone from the Partnership for Violence-Free Families. They're out of Lima. And she will be talking about the work they do. And please give a warm welcome to Donna Dickman, please.
Thank you, Zach. Can we give it up for Zach? Put himself on. That's hard to do when we know his whole intention is to help others, and that's so important. We're here from PVFF for the Allen County, always, and Hardin counties we serve through the Mental Health and Recovery Services Board. We talk about prevention because here's the thing, folks. We know suicide's preventable. We know that 90% of the people that die by suicide experience depression, just what Zach talked about. Depression is treatable. Where's our problem with people getting to the help that they need? And that's where the same thing Zach talked about with stigma. People don't get help because they're afraid to. Right? What are other people going to think of me? They don't know what services there are. There's a lot of reasons why people don't seek help, and if we can, as helpers, get the people to the help they may need, we can save lives. There's other ways that we can save lives, folks, is understanding warning signs. There's a program, an educational program called Lifelines we bring into schools. It's a 4-session program. The first thing we talk about is what are warning signs? What do they look like? What do they sound like? Because when we recognize them, we take those, we don't take them with a grain of salt. We take everyone seriously. And we help them get to the help they may need. We're out there training adults with mental health first aid. So those adults will know when you come to them as a young person that they can get you to the help you need. We're all on the same page. We want to make sure everyone is safe. Speaking of safety tonight, we have 4 people here in the group from the CISM team, Critical Incident Stress Management. They are there, they're trained adults, counselors, to help with debriefing when horrific acts happen. And Delphus has been hit hard. It has. Last year, in our 3-county area, we lost 6 teenagers. We typically only lose 1 to 2 a year, and we lost 6, 5 of them being 19 years old. And this year, it's coming around again. We bumped up our request for dollars from the Mental Health Board to say we need to address our kids more, and they awarded that money. We were in 19 schools last year. We plan on being in 36 schools this year. In addition to our educational component, because here's the thing, education is where it's at, folks. Whether it's academics or life skills, that's where it's at. That's how we're going to save lives. So we have to get the education there. But also, we need a youth component. If anybody remembered, and I know I've got a group of Spencerville grads now over here, Kevin Hines came into our community last year. Kevin Hines was a survivor of a Golden Gate Bridge jump. And not to sensationalize his actions, but to say there is hope, because he suffered from bipolar disorder with psychotic features, which he does today at 42. Just like Zach, he's finding a way to sustain life and make a happy life for himself. And he's doing that, and that's his message of hope. But with that, it was spurred by the operation of the Gatekeepers of Wapakoneta. Kids that got together after Nick Conley died in 2010. And the students said, we're not taking it anymore. We're going to help each other out. And that's what they did. Gatekeeper has been established for now 7 years. We assist with that from our Suicide Prevention Coalition, which everybody is welcome to join. We have one for Allen County that's been going strong for 7 years. And we're going to be expanding those gatekeepers to 11 different schools in our 3-county area. And we'd love to bring one to Jefferson. So we're going to bring Kevin back in October. We're going to ask 30 to 50 kids from each school in Allen County to show up. And from there, we would love to form a gatekeepers group to keep each other safe. We can do that. We can do that. Kids, you can have the knowledge to do that. You can have the education to do that. Adults, we need to be there too, with as much education and more. We have our resources down at the table that Chris is able to share with you. This is the prevention work that we work with, but there's also another word we use, and that's post-vention work. You may have seen groups of people with green shirts at all the funeral homes, and at the families if you were there, the people that lost loved ones. We have a loss team, local outreach to suicide survivors, because we know that people are devastated. It's the worst moment of their life when they lose the people that they love. So with the loss team, we're able to bring people to support groups. Young people, we've got a support group for you at SAFI at Market Street. It's called SOS, Students of Safety. There's information up here. It's support groups for kids 15 to 19 years old. Very important. Also for adults, we have GRASP, Grieving, Resiliency, and Surviving Suicide's Pain. They meet monthly. We had 12 people to our group last night. We welcome anybody, no cost, no registration, folks. None of our services cost. So know that you have community support in prevention, which is so important, because we don't want to lose another life, and post-vention services as well, to make sure we're taking care of those left behind. It's a hard road. It's going to take years for our families to recover, and we need to be there for them. So please visit the tables. I know Westwood has tables, St. Rita's. We have information over here. There are great resources, folks. There's a reason why suicide is so prevalent in Wyoming and Montana and Alaska, because they don't have services. They may have to drive 3 hours to get services. We are so rich in our area of the country, in our segment of Ohio, knowing that we have some great services. We just have to help people get there. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Donna, and for all the organization people behind you, the work you do. Just give you a warning, I'm going to call a ticket number here. We're going to give away a t-shirt. The tickets you got, so if you want to take those out. We have Donna Dickman, Chris Estes from EVFF, Megan Tuttle, and Allison Bueller-Warnicki from Westwood Behavioral Services, Andy Thompson from St. Rita's, and of course Zach will be here to answer any questions. Anyone has any issues at all tonight, want to talk to them, please feel free. They're here to help. If you have any issues, that's what we're here for. The winner is 644-6859. All right, jump up and dance. Thank you all for coming tonight. Appreciate it very much. And just let everyone know there is help out there. Thank you all, and good night.
Was that your phone? I know that chirp chirp anywhere.